All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something kind of surprising, a real twist on how tech usually spreads throughout the world.
Yeah, you usually see big innovations, they come from government labs or maybe the military.
Right, exactly.
And then corporations pick it up, figure out how to, make some money with it, turn it into products.
Put trickles down, yeah.
And eventually it becomes so normal that we're all using it every day.
Yeah, like electricity or GPS.
Exactly. It all starts at the top.
But large language models, or LLMs, seem to be, they're bucking that trend.
Flipping the script. It's super interesting.
Yeah, it is. So today we want to examine why LLMs are having such a big impact on individuals, everyday people, way before we're seeing that same kind of shift in big companies or governments.
It's a real head scratcher, isn't it? It's historically, tech has always gone the other way.
It really is. Let's take ChatGPT as an example.
Oh, the poster child.
Right. It just exploded, as the fastest growing consumer application in history, I think. Hundreds of millions of people using it every week.
It's amazing, really. Yeah. And it's being used for so many different things.
It's crazy. People are using it for writing, coding, translating, tutoring, you name it.
Like a digital Swiss Army knife, honestly.
It really is. You can use it to summarize long articles or research papers. You can even just brainstorm ideas with it.
And, that ease of access, it's a huge part of its success. I mean, most of these tools, they are either free or really cheap. They're super fast. You can get to them from anywhere with an internet connection.
And on any device.
Right, exactly. And they speak just about every language under the sun, slang and emojis included. It's pretty remarkable.
So the question is why? Why this huge and rapid impact on individuals while the big players are kind of lagging behind?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, let's start with what LLMs actually are and how they're different.
Under the hood, right?
Yeah. So the core argument here seems to be that they provide a kind of quasi-expert knowledge on tons of different topics. But maybe they're not super deep experts in any one area.
They know a little about a lot, right?
Right. And let's be honest, they can get things wrong sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. We've all seen those hilarious AI fails floating around online.
But even with those limitations, that versatility, that ability to access information across so many domains, it's a huge deal.
For sure. It's a total game changer.
So think about how organizations usually work. They have super specialized teams.
Right. Each with its own area of expertise.
Right. With years of experience, in their specific field, engineers, legal teams, scientists, they're the best at what they do, but that knowledge is really concentrated.
It's deep but narrow.
So yeah, LLMs can definitely help these folks be more efficient.
Yeah. Imagine a lawyer using one to draft some initial contract clauses, or a programmer using one to write some basic code.
Right. So for organizations, LLMs could be a productivity booster.
Making already really good people a little bit better.
Right, but the overall impact on the organization itself is going to be more gradual.
It's not an overnight revolution.
Right. But then flip that and look at an individual, the average person. Most of us aren't super specialized experts, right?
We have our areas of expertise, sure, but we're not walking encyclopedias.
Exactly. So then along comes an LLM, and suddenly we can do things that we just couldn't do well before without hiring a specialist.
It levels the playing field in a big way.
Right. The article gives some pretty good examples, say you've got this killer idea for an app, but you can't code.
Right. I'm right there with you.
Well, now you can actually get a basic version up and running using these vibe coding tools.
It's amazing. Suddenly anyone can be a maker.
Totally. Or maybe you're facing a scary legal document, lots of jargon, and you're lost. Well, now you can use an LLM to get a better grasp of what it all means without immediately having to pay for a lawyer.
That's huge for accessibility, right? Legal advice can be really expensive.
Absolutely. And it's not just legal stuff, it's everything. Students can tackle these dense research papers more easily. People starting businesses can generate their own marketing copy. I mean, the list goes on.
It's like having a team of experts on call 24/7.
So that broad reach of LLMs, even if they're not always super deep in their knowledge, it makes sense why it's such a perfect fit for individuals.
Yeah, because we have so many different needs. We wear so many different hats in our lives.
Right. Whereas organizations, they're built on that deep expertise, in very specific areas.
You're more like specialized machines.
Okay, so we've got LLMs being super versatile, which is perfect for individuals. But what else is making this individual first impact so strong?
Well, the next big thing is that organizations are just a lot more complex. They've got more moving parts.
So it's harder to just drop in a new technology and expect everything to run smoothly.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. When you're trying to bring a new technology into a big company or a government agency, you're not just dealing with one person and their laptop.
All right, it's a whole ecosystem.
You've got to consider how this new tool plays with all the existing software, the legacy systems, some of which might be ancient.
Yeah, I bet there's still some COBOL code running somewhere.
Oh, for sure. And then you've got brand guidelines to follow, security protocols to worry about, data privacy rules, international laws, legal risks.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a minefield. So while an individual can kind of play around with an LLM, see what it can do, organizations have to be much more cautious.
Yeah, the stakes are higher.
Way higher. Like if an LLM has one of those hallucinations, where it just makes stuff up, it's not a big deal for an individual. Maybe you get a good laugh out of it. But for a company, that could have serious consequences.
Oh, yeah. Imagine sending out some crazy marketing copy generated by an AI that doesn't understand your brand.
Exactly. You could end up in legal trouble, or you could damage your reputation. It's a big risk.
So the article makes this point, you can't just vibe code something for a huge corporation. It has to be rock solid.
Right. It's got to be secure. It's got to be integrated with all these other systems. It's a whole other level of complexity.
Okay, so complexity is a major roadblock for organizations trying to get on board with LLMs. Mm-hmm. What's the next big hurdle?
Well, the third one is just plain old organizational inertia.
Meaning
big organizations are slow to change.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right. They've got their established ways of doing things, their cultures, their internal politics.
And just getting everyone on the same page is a nightmare.
Seriously. Plus, you've got to think about retraining people. And then there's just all the bureaucracy, the approvals, the paperwork. It all adds up.
So even if an LLM could potentially make a company way more efficient, getting it implemented, actually changing how people work, it's a long and winding road.
And this article argues that while LLMs are definitely going to have a huge impact on corporations and governments eventually, right now it's individuals who are seeing the biggest and fastest benefits.
So the everyday people, the Mary, Jim, and Joes, as they say, are getting the most out of LLMs right now.
That's where the action is.
Okay, so that's fascinating. We've got this really unique moment where LLMs are empowering individuals in a way that we just haven't seen with new technologies before.
And it's all happening before the big institutions have really figured out how to utilize them.
So now the question is, what happens next? How does this all play out in the future?
Right, because this is all still very new.
Well, the article delves into this idea of benefit distribution. So basically, who benefits the most from these advancements in LLM technology?
Right. And it ties that to this concept of dynamic range, which is like, how much better does an LLM perform if you throw more money at it, more resources, more computing power?
So right now we're in this cool situation where the best LLMs, they're pretty accessible. You don't have to be a billionaire to use the same AI as Bill Gates.
Yeah, it's like money can't buy you better ChatGPT.
Exactly. But will that always be the case? The article raises some interesting points about how this could change.
Right, because there are a few factors that could lead to a widening gap in AI performance.
Meaning, the rich and powerful, they could end up with significantly better AI tools than the average person.
Yeah. So one of the factors is what's called train time scaling. It's basically how much bigger and more complex can we make these LLMs, how much data can we feed them, and doing that requires a ton of money and resources.
So only the biggest players might be able to afford training those super powerful models.
Exactly. And then there's test time scaling, which means how much computing power do you need to actually use one of these advanced models? If it takes a massive server farm to run each query, well, again, that's going to favor those with deep pockets.
So it's like, if you want to play the latest video games, you need a super-powered PC.
Right. And if you're stuck with an old laptop, well, you're out of luck.
And the article mentions model ensembles, too.
Yes. That's another thing that could widen the gap.
So this is where you combine the output from multiple LLMs to get even better results.
Right, like a super team of AI.
Yeah.
But it's also computationally expensive, so again, it favors those with resources.
And the article gives this kind of grim example of how this could play out in the future. It says, their child will be tutored by GPT-8 Pro Max High, yours by GPT-6 Mini.
Yikes. Not the most optimistic vision.
No. But there's another side to this story, right?
Oh, absolutely. There are also things that could help keep AI accessible even as it gets more advanced.
Like what?
Well, one of the big ones is model distillation.
Okay, what is that?
So basically, it's training smaller, more efficient AI models to do the same things as the big, powerful ones.
Oh, interesting. So you're kind of taking the knowledge from the big model and squeezing it into a smaller package.
Exactly. And if we can get really good at model distillation, then even people with limited resources could still have access to really powerful AI.
So that's encouraging.
It is. It's like saying, hey, you don't need a giant server farm to run this AI. You can run it on your phone.
So it's kind of a race then between these forces that are pushing AI towards being more exclusive and these forces that are pushing it towards being more accessible.
Yeah, and it's hard to say which one will win.
Which brings us to, I think, a really fascinating point. You know, if you think about how AI is often portrayed in movies and books, it's usually this thing controlled by, like, governments or these massive corporations.
Yeah, like some giant supercomputer that's running everything.
But the reality is that we've got something like ChatGPT, which is this incredibly powerful AI, and it's just out there, available to everyone.
It's like the opposite of what we usually see in science fiction.
And the article has this great quote. It's like a twist on that famous William Gibson quote.
Which one is that?
The one that says, the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed.
Right.
But here they're saying, surprise, the future is already here, and it is shockingly distributed.
I like that. It captures the moment perfectly.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it ends with this powerful statement, power to the people.
It's inspiring, honestly.
So we've covered a lot here, you know, this idea of reverse technological diffusion, the reasons behind it, the complexities of the current landscape.
It's a lot to unpack, for sure.
But I think the key takeaway is that we're in a truly unique moment in history. Individuals are at the forefront of this technological revolution, which is something we just haven't seen before.
And it's all because LLMs offer this incredible versatility that aligns perfectly with the diverse needs of everyday people.
Right. And meanwhile, the big organizations, they're struggling with the complexities of integrating these new tools into their existing systems and with, you know, just overcoming that natural inertia.
Change is hard, especially when you're big and established.
So the future of this whole thing, it's really up in the air. It depends on how these LLMs evolve.
Yeah.
You know, will they become even more powerful but also more exclusive, or will we see breakthroughs in making them more accessible?
A race, as we said.
So to wrap things up, we want to leave you with a thought to ponder. Consider the long-term implications of individuals having access to such powerful tools.
It's a big question.
It is. How might this change? Education, creativity, innovation, even the way we think about expertise itself. What new challenges and opportunities will we face in this world where advanced AI is, well, in everyone's pocket?
It's something we all need to be thinking about.
It really is. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.